you really want to focus on the top line. You automate what you can. If you see any obviously dumb expenses, get rid of them. But the real thing that's going to move the needle for you is to push the revenue up. It's like that across the board in every industry, period. Move the top line and it really moves the bottom line. You cut the expenses, it helps, but usually it's not enough to make a meaningful difference. Hey guys, thanks for joining us this week on the Tax Rep Network podcast. I'm Eric Green. I have no guest this week. I wanted to record this because I've had a couple of conversations in the last day that kind of reminded me about a lesson, and I wanted to share that with you. So I'll tell you how it started. I had a friend of mine. He has a firm, handful of lawyers, trying to make, everyone wants to make more money. He's got some partners. Now, the partners didn't start the business from scratch. They kind of came up inside the business. So the good thing about that is you've gotten to know them after a number of years. You know their talent. They know the clients. I mean, there's something very good about that. One of the negatives about having a partner who never had to build a business themselves from scratch is they almost don't understand what's important and what isn't important. And so I'm going to explain to you why you always look up, not down. And I'm going to tell you what that means. So my friend tells me they're now having partnership fights over whether they should be paying for the Wall Street Journal, $189 a year. Or should they stop, getting all the variations of coffee in the kitchen? Something to kind of cut expenses. What I told my friend, I said, let's say that you do this. You spend hours and hours of your time and their time, right, at billable rates that it's a complete waste of time. But anyway, let's say you do that. How much do you think you'll come up with? 5,000? 10,000? Divide that by 5 partners. It's $1,000 or $2,000 each. Now, don't get me wrong. That's nice. That doesn't really move the needle. And I was talking to another partner, and again, he, like everybody, would like to make more money. Their firm's large. It's about 50 lawyers. Maybe a little less, maybe about 35 or 40, but they're bigger than we are. And his thing was, and I'd been told this by a senior partner of mine years and years ago, Bob Percy. He told me once when I was talking about money, making more money, he said, Eric, look up, don't look down. What do you mean? It's about the revenue, dummy, not the expenses. And by the way, there are exceptions to this. I'm sure there's some high-priced piece of software that maybe you really don't need. And, that's 10, 15,000, that helps. But it's not going to move the needle in any meaningful way across 5 partners, 6 partners, 3 partners. And it's nice, but it doesn't do anything. The answer, I said to my friend who came to me originally, was, well, how much are your partners billing? And they're billing around 1,400 hours a year. I said, well, their average rate, billable rate, is around $600. So I said, if each of them billed 200 hours, 1,600 hours is honestly, it's not that much. It's not asking too much. So let's say they all bill an extra 200 hours. Now the firm across the 5 of you, right, has 1,000 hours at $600. That's 600,000. 600,000 moves the needle. For all of you to spend 2 days going through everything, first of all, you're wasting $4,800 a day of billable time. Across 5 of you, you already wasted 20,000 looking for the 5, 10, or 15,000 that you're going to find. It doesn't mean anything. So the point here, and my friend, by the way, at the bigger firm said, he reminds his partners of this. Everyone wants to make more money. And look at your hours. Are you billing 1,800 to 2,000 hours? At that point, you're busy now. You're kind of going full time. If you're not at 1,800 hours, don't come talk to me. And in fact, in many firms, you're not even eligible for a bonus. And in some of the big firms, you wouldn't have a job. 1,800 is kind of the minimum at most firms. So the first thing is, let's push the top line up, right? Pushing the top line up makes a major difference. Going up from $600 to $625 an hour. If everyone's billing about 2,000 hours, right? Now it's 50,000 a person across the whole firm. That moves the needle. Look up, don't look down. Focus on the revenue. Don't focus on the minute expenses that don't mean anything. Now, I will tell you, we don't want to be wasteful. So I'm not glossing over. Let people spend whatever they want. It doesn't mean anything. That's not true. Enough of that will add up. And again, I don't want to be flip about this. Hey, an extra 2 grand is 2 grand, right? I mean, most people, that's significant money. And so I'm not suggesting don't do that. If you see an expense that really is unnecessary, then get rid of it. But I wouldn't spend your time tearing your hair out trying to find more money in the expenses. Chances are there isn't enough to make a meaningful difference. Your goal should be to push the top line up. Now, where can you cut expenses that do mean a lot? Automation. Can you literally not bring in all of the tax season help? Right? Because now there could be anywhere from 50 to 200,000, depending how big your operation is. Honestly, do you need all of these senior associates, non-equity partners? If they're not billing enough, it means either there isn't enough work or they're just not working very hard. So I would have a conversation with them. Like, you got to work harder. If you don't have enough work, come see me. And then if you don't have enough work to support the people, then unfortunately it's unpleasant, but you got to let people go. It's the nature of business. But you really want to focus on the top line. You automate what you can. If you see any obviously dumb expenses, get rid of them. But the real thing that's going to move the needle for you is to push the revenue up. It's like that across the board in every industry, period. Move the top line and it really moves the bottom line. You cut the expenses, it helps, but usually it's not enough to make a meaningful difference. So when you're going to start this year, and we all want to make more money, and you're going to focus on that, focus on what you can do to drive the top line. That's what's going to move the needle. That's how you're going to make more money. All right. So don't worry. Don't make yourself crazy about the little itty bitty things. If you see them, you get rid of them. But otherwise, I wouldn't spend another moment focused on that. Automate the major expenses, all right, because that's going to reduce staff. It helps make everything more streamlined. You collect your money up front. All of the normal automations that we talk about, put those in place. That's key. But after that, your goal is to drive sales. I would rather you take on the extra expense of driving digital sales and digital marketing to push the top line. That will come back 3, 4, 5, tenfold to you. Don't worry about the Wall Street Journal for the $189. Nobody cares, and it's not going to make a difference. See you next week.